Hey everyone, Ozzy Viking here to talk about Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, big Mass Effect fan. I enjoyed it in 2007. No, 2008 I first played it because I didn't have an Xbox until late 2007. But 2008 I played it and I loved it. It was another universe I just loved. And then played number 2, number 3, day 1, honestly. I remember playing Mass Effect 2 a day before I had to go back to high school, and I was just like, I don't want to go back because I was so into this world, and every day after school, instead of doing homework, I just played Mass Effect 2, and number 3 came out. I was like, yeah, I need to I just spent so many hours into that, bought all the DLC, well, except for one, the Citadel, that was amazing, Citadel one, but the one where you're at, with the Taloka, or whatever her name is, Aria, you know, that one, so I didn't get that one. I probably should later on, but yeah. So I'm really excited for Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, a lot of people say that it doesn't look that good. I think it looks great. I mean, first of all, an RPG shouldn't be defined by its gameplay. It should be defined by its character creation, its customization, its choices, and the consequences of those choices, you know. That is what makes an RPG, not necessarily the gameplay, you know. And I think the gameplay looks fine, you know. I mean, jetpacks, more open battlefield, you know, you can go up, you can go everywhere. Like, that looks great. I don't know the problem that people are having with the gameplay, and it's more open. Now, I don't know if it's going to be as in open world, like, say, The Witcher 3, where it was open world in a section, then you go to, like, another planet, and there's a big open world, and then another planet, big open world. I don't know if they're doing that. Or if they're doing the Dragon Age Inquisition, where it's just, you had many smaller areas that were big, but, you know, not hugely big. So, I don't know what they're doing there. I'd like the more open world thing, but who knows? But I'm just really excited because, first of all, there are some great things they're doing. Having a family, you know, you're a family in this, and the last time they did this as a family in one of their games, RPGs, they did was Dragon Age 2. Now, Dragon Age 2, from character and overall story purposes, was actually quite good. Consequences and level design was shit. We'll put that out there. It was pretty bad. But that sort of area with characters and family were fantastic, and they're doing that again. Except this time, you can play as either. So in Dragon Age 2, you can only play as Hawke, male or female, and then the rest were there. In this one, if you play as the male rider, his sister's there in the universe. Or if you play as the female rider, his brother's there in the universe. And I think that's fantastic. I think it's going to add a lot of depth to it. Second of all, the crew. Now, the crew so far looks pretty great, and I've already got like a love interest in mind, the blonde-haired one who might be the daughter of the Elusive Man, which would be awesome. That's a good Ouroboros, I think. Oh man, I'm just excited to shit. I do hope it does not get delayed. I'll be more happy when it's like, say, gold. Mass Effect Andromeda went gold. I'll be so happy. Oh man. Alright, so, I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a great game. The gameplay looks fun, you know. But, again, as long as it's got good characters, good consequence for your choices, and just great emotional depth, I'll be happy. Now, first and foremost, that's one thing that BioWare always nails. You know, if they have made some iffy RPGs in the past, like Dragon Age 2, and kind of Mass Effect 3 if you count the ending, but when it comes to the one thing that they do right, characters, they just nailed it, you know. The amount of time, say, in Dragon Age Inquisition, I was just like, this has got some great characters, and I really have, there's some options in there that I cannot wait to hear, like party banter. Party banter I cannot wait to see, especially if you're saying you're in a relationship and they start doing party banter. There was one in Inquisition where I was with Cassandra and I had Iron Bull there, and he's just like, so, that when you cut that guy in half with the shield and just went, fumbled him, you ever tried that under the sheets? And I'm just like, what? And then straight after she's like, oh yeah. Something like that. And I was like, that is the sort of banter I need. Another interesting thing is, you can kind of coax, in Dragon Age Inquisition, you could have, say, Iron Bull fall in love and become in a relationship with Dorian. You know, if you had them both in the same party, they'd chat to each other, and over time they'd become an item. I wonder if that will be in this game, because that was actually a very interesting concept to do. They only really did it with those two, I think. I don't think anybody else, but that was interesting. It's like, hey, we can actually influence people to be in a relationship. That's just one influence that I'm just like, that's pretty cool. Another thing is, they've been working on this for 5 years. 5 long years, you know. They know not to fuck it up with the ending, because they saw the backlash in number 3. Although I think number 3 is the best in the series, and I'll tell you that after I finish what I'm trying to talk about. So, again, 5 years they've been working on it. Last time they spent 5 years on an RPG was Dragon Age Origins and I believe the first Mass Effect. Both great games. Dragon Age Origins was fantastic, and Mass Effect again was fantastic. Now, what I expect from 5 years is basically good choice, good consequences, and hopefully the idea of multiple outcomes. The one thing I've noticed that makes a good RPG is multiple outcomes, not just, oh, you get one, you have one decision, you have to make this decision. I want to see decisions where you don't know what's going to happen, because that's the one thing that BioWare doesn't do that well, especially with how they do their choices when you talk, the talking choices. They don't seem to do that well, because it's like, what's going to happen. If you click the blue one, you're going to get a fairly good ending. If you click the red one, you're going to get angry and probably going to die. The one thing that I hope they take from The Witcher 3, because again, for those that want to know, that game really just changed RPGs ever, basically. And this game has been developed for at least 2 years after that game came out, so they've been influenced, you can tell. First of all, in the trailer they had like the fire string coming out, which is basically what The Witcher does, and you've got the opportunity to look up, scan the area basically, and figure out what's going on, which I know The Witcher didn't create these things, but The Witcher kind of made them in a way that stories were told very, very well, which it looks like they're doing, because in the gameplay reveal trailer, there's a bit where she's scanning and there's a dead Krogan. I imagine that you'll find out why did the dead Krogan die and all that, and how did he die, and I'm hoping that's a side quest, and I'm hoping the side quests have enough depth to it that they're emotionally involving, which is something The Witcher 3 did amazingly well. And I say that because that was great. I love doing the main quest, but considering that in this game the main story is going to be one of the highlights, but when you're out there being a pathfinder trying to look for life and all that, and seeing all these settlements of people having, that's the one thing that a lot of fans want to see. We want to see how they live this life. What are they doing? Imagine a story where you come into this room and it's got one dead guy and a whole lot of dead mercenaries, and you find out that the dead guy sent off a big sum of money before his death, right? And you're like, okay, we've got to find out where this went. You find out that there's a woman and she's got a daughter and a son, and you find out that that was their father, and he gave his life. He did some bad things to die. Send the money off so they had enough money to say get into an ark or something, could get into a bigger, better area that they can live in. Stuff like that, that sort of storytelling is what I'm hoping for. Extremely well. That's what we want. That's what a lot of people want, and they've done really good side quests in the past, but we're hoping they can nail it. Really, really nail it. Now, I was talking about Mass Effect 3 being my favourite. Now, not as it was when it first came out. I'm talking about not counting the shitty shit that EA did with, day one DLC shit. I'm thinking about if you got Mass Effect 3 and all the DLC added into it. That includes the extended ending. For me, it's the best in the series, because I had a lot of great character moments. Citadel was one of the best RPG DLCs ever. Citadel was fantastic. I love replaying it. I can't stop. I can't help but love that whole. There's bro, there's love, there's just that part in there where we're getting drunk. It was the best send-off, and it was so emotional. I couldn't stop. I was like, oh god. Because Mass Effect does hold me here. Mass Effect, Witcher, and KOTOR are some of the RPGs that really hit home, and I'm just like, I love that. So, speaking of how they're doing things as well, I've heard that they're going to do a thing where you'll have the crew, and you'll be able to fall in love with certain people in the crew, if not all the crew. I mean, I don't know if they're going to have every character buy like they did in Dragon Age 2 or something like that, but you'll apparently be able to fall in love with the crew, but you can also be in relationships with people that aren't in the crew, which is really interesting to me. So I wonder if there'll be, like, again, going back to The Witcher. Sorry about that, memory ran out. So we're talking about relationships and how you might be able to be with other women or men or whatever you're at. So that might take it from The Witcher 3, where in The Witcher 3 there would be side quests where you do something, and if it was a female, because you couldn't really choose who you were with Geralt, but if it was a female, they'd be like, do you want to have sex? And, stuff like that. And they did say there's a lot of sex in this game. BioWare literally said there's a shit ton of sex, and it looks like it's going to be very feisty. I hope they go as far as to show nudity. They did in Dragon Age Inquisition, but that was afterwards. They didn't do the Witcher thing where they showed sex. They just went black screen, some moaning, and then you'd wake up and the woman would be naked and you'd be naked and you don't see the woman. Which was a start, honestly. It was a great start, I guess. I mean, it is an adult world, an adult series, so you kind of want to see that enhanced, and they've been doing that for a while. They have enhanced it a lot. I mean, They have over time, anyway. Which is interesting. Now, another thing I was talking about was consequences for your actions. So, one thing that's iffy with Bioware is you kind of know what's going to happen. You kind of know that if you click the red sort of anger option in your dialogue, you're going to get a fairly bad ending. And if you click the good one, you're going to get a good ending. It's never really morally grey. There isn't many options where it becomes so morally grey you can't help but be like, oh god, you know. There have been choices where you know there's a choice, you know. So in Mass Effect 1, you could tell when it's like, do you choose Ashley or do you choose Kaidan? You knew that one's going to die, you know. There isn't any choices where you don't know what's going to happen. And I hope there's more of that, you know. Oh, if I choose this one, I know someone's going to die, but maybe there's a situation where if it's like, I help this person out, but later on it's caused a lot of damage for some other people, you know. I really hope that's something they've expanded on, because the only time they've ever kind of flip-flopped it was in Mass Effect 3 with Kelly Chambers. She's helping out the refugees. If you say to her, don't go and change your identity, stop helping them out and just get out of here, she lives. If you say stay with the refugees and help them out, she gets shot in the head. That's the only ever time I can really think of in the whole of the series, more or less, where you don't really know what your actions are going to be, and when you do the actions, you have to kind of do the bad side, which I thought was really interesting. And they look like they are going to keep that similarities with the other games, where it's like you got good, you got bad, you know, you got Paragon, you got Renegade, you choose them, right? So I'm really hoping in this game there's a lot of situations where if you choose Renegade, positive Paragon shift can happen, and if you choose Paragon, you could be moments where it gets bad later on, because that's the morally grey areas that I really hope they expand upon. Anyway, that's sort of I think I've covered everything that I could remember about it. I'm really excited for it. I hope it doesn't get delayed. I'm hoping that they take a lot from The Witcher 3, and I do know that they've changed a few things up. So in Dragon Age Inquisition, there was a lot of side quests that were bad. You had to collect this and collect this and collect this. The one thing I know is a team from Inquisition went to this team and said, look, don't do this. Just don't do this. And from what I've heard, they won't do that. So I'm really excited to see how they do that sort of stuff. But for me, I do know 100% that voice acting will be great. I know that the character development will be great. I know that it's going to be new interesting worlds and new enemies and stuff like that. The gameplay looks fine. What really gets to me and what I'm really going to be looking for is basically how morally grey or how morally things happen, you know, the consequence of our actions, how they go. Is it going to be anything big? It's going to have small that work its way up, or is it going to be like obvious, you know? I want to make a choice and hours later my consequence comes to fruition, you know. I don't want it to be like same down and all that. And they sort of do that, but yeah, I'm really hoping they expand upon that. And yeah, I'm really excited for it. Andromeda, I think it's going to be a good game, possibly game of the year. Yeah, excited. Anyway, sorry about that. Aussie Viking out. I'll see you all in Valhalla. So close to Mass Effect Andromeda. It's going to be great. Bye.